record again? Okay.
Yeah, got it.
Got it.
Okay.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
So we were talking about the pandemic, as we remember the super fun about how we're going to get vaccinated, who's going to get vaccinated.
Oh yeah, all that
How
stress.
did that, I mean, that was just super fun at
Super
all.
fun all around, but yeah.
Super fun. Still is.
Yeah, we're still doing that.
How did that work vis-a-vis you having cancer treatment?
Well, I think it just added to this. I mean, it's stressful for all like 8 billion of us or everybody there are, but
Yeah.
but I think it added to this. I was maybe more anxious. I would have been anxious about it anyway, just because.
About getting vaxxed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can can we hurry this up already? Although I knew it was happening, and,
Let's go.
But it maybe made me feel more vulnerable just because I was
Yeah.
my immunity's down and
Mm-hmm.
it seemed to be taking forever, but as I'm sure it did for everybody. But
right,
so that may have added to this sort of worry level of
for sure.
But is this taking forever? And
yeah.
But I was lucky in that I didn't. I was grateful that I didn't have to. Even though I don't have much people contact in my job, it still wouldn't have been ideal.
Right, because you work in a big office building downtown, so there's
a lot of people touching things and getting on and off the elevators, and
back in the day when we were watching our Cheerios boxes, thinking,
that's right.
That was the way to save our souls. Yeah.
So yeah, and that was. But for chemo, well, and it was just more. Sort of made things more detached, like, the nice ladies coming out with us. The snacks was, an advantage, but, not that big. You can bring your own snacks.
But no nice ladies with snacks. I get it. It makes a difference, doesn't it? I think that's important to say. It does. Yeah.
Or the first 3 Andy could come with me, but then afterwards he couldn't. And
your first 3 chemos before your surgery, Andy could come after. Yeah, so your chemos after your surgery were in the pandemic.
Yeah.
So no, bring a friend.
No friends.
Yeah. Just chit chat on the phone.
I mean, that was fine. I could work on things, and then the first ones there's a nice cafeteria or coffee, so we could go and have a treat after, but then that closed, so we bring your, again, first world problem,
I know, right? Where am I going to get my brownies?
Yeah, but it
does makes a difference, doesn't it? Yeah.
So I've started bringing my own, which is fine, but it was just more just how it felt like. It felt sort of like you're going into this thing and you're not sure, like the sort of comforting things they put around it were kind of gone. So
yeah. The things
which is
mitigate the scariness were gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but I mean, it was still okay, and the nurses were still nice, and the only really awful time during, like the days 4 to 7 after chemo were not great, because then the meds were off, but then all the side effects kind of kick in.
Right. So you had chemo there was a 3-week interval, right?
Yeah.
So after that first week, you have told me that you actually felt not too bad, right?
Yeah, I felt pretty good after, weeks 2 and 3. So, that was. And then that coincided with the gas being really cheap. So we actually had some fun,
Yes. For those of you in the future, gas prices are bonkers. And those of you watching in the future where you're all plugging in your cars. So.
That's right. Yeah. No, it's true. But, so we, and I didn't have to work, which was good, especially during a pandemic with immune system's down, and
Crapped out.
actually my one of my chiropractors, you know, this kind of shocked me because she seemed like, you know, super young, super fit, you know, health, you know, and she was going through it too, but she actually worked during chemo, but she could, you know, because it's sort of freelance, so she could pick whenever she worked, so she could wait till she was feeling okay.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
you know,
everybody's got their own journey, as they say, right?
yeah. But no, I was grateful I didn't, you know, I didn't have to work. You know, I had some income and didn't have to work during that time.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I looked at some volunteer work, but the ones I was interested in, you had to, you know, get some training, which would have been good, but then you had to make a year-long commitment. Okay. But you know, I couldn't commit for every week for a year.
You didn't know when you were not going to feel well.
Yeah.
Or
and
what
even
next. Yeah.
Even volunteering, you're still around people and touching things, and, you know.
Yeah, sometimes more, right? They put you in stuff. So, yeah. And then after, what do you remember about the allergic reaction that you had when you had your 4th session? Well, your last chemo session ended up being your last.
Yeah. Oh, that was bonkers because I went in and it started normally, and you know, it was fine reading my book, doing whatever, and then I
think we were on the phone, probably.
Yeah.
Because I think it happened when we were on the phone, actually.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I started feeling like really itchy, you know, really like adrenaline kind of thing, and then I, you know, they had a button you could push if you needed help, and so I pushed it because this is not normal. This is
I need help. Yeah.
And then what I remember, and then they gave me, they went into emergency mode and gave me something, and then I remember just being after that. And, and then they said,
I remember that too. I'm like, what did you give her?
Yeah.
You were Daddy Kathy. You were.
Yeah, I was just.
Yeah, for sure.
And some kind of adrenaline, or I don't know what they gave me, but
yeah.
Saying, I don't have to keep talking, and so I called you.
I remember the nurse saying, "You don't have to talk." I'm like, "No, she's talking. I'm happy."
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. So that was that. Yeah, that was bonkers. And then I was supposed to be there 3 hours, and I was there 5 or something.
Yeah, they kept making sure you weren't going to do anything weird on them. So
yeah,
weirder.
Weirder. That was
weirder.
We passed weird pretty early.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that was just my body freaking out and saying, "No, I'm done. No more of this."
Exactly. Thanks. Thanks. We're done.
Yeah.
So after that came Lynparza.
Oh yeah. That was good.
Lynparza. What did you first hear about it? What did you understand about it? Because you had to do special testing, right? They tested you. You did the BRCA testing.
Yeah, I did that, and then it took forever to hear, but finally got that back, and I'm very happy. No, it's just a one-off, basically. And then Lynparza, I remember them like, okay, you're done chemo now, but we have something to offer you, and they're very happy about that, which was they should be,
yeah, they were happy about it too, right?
Yeah,
I remember that too. Yeah.
For most of history, it's been chemo, surgery. Good luck,
Yeah, chemo. Yeah.
Check in once in a while, but there's, so that was really good. There was a lot of paperwork and stuff, but that, it was fine. And then I remember, great shock at how much, like $100 a pill.
Right. Yeah, like it's about $8,000 a month.
I know. Like, how many humans can afford that? Like,
nobody I know.
Yeah.
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 But it's covered. It is covered by the drug company, right?
So no, it can be, but I think they have some sort of income thing, and you pay a certain percentage or whatever. But it was lucky because we tried with Sun Life, and then they ended up covering it all.
Yeah, they even covered the filling fee, I think, right?
Or, yeah, I think AstraZeneca covers the filling fee.
Yeah,
And then
basically
some
it's
like
no
free.
no money out of your pocket to do.
No,
Yeah,
which is amazing because,
which is amazing. Yeah,
you know,
yeah, that's crazy. So during the Lynparza time, that began the regular blood work days,
that's right. Yeah,
monthly blood work.
have fun. Yes.
So tell me about, how did you manage your monthly blood work? How do you manage your monthly blood work?
Well, I just get, plan it, do it. You can book up to 2 weeks in advance or 2 months in advance, although that got kind of less during COVID. So we ended up having to drive all over the place, and because they were allowing fewer appointments, which I don't really get, but okay, that's, but
So you had
just,
to go to like smaller towns or to different locations in the city.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
just okay because we can drive, but not everybody has that, if getting to it on a bus would have been a lot harder.
Oh, yeah, crazy. Yeah,
And, I'm glad I had access to a private car because that would have been,
yeah,
especially during COVID. And
yeah, yeah.
but no, blood work wasn't, because Andy can drive me. That wasn't especially difficult.
Right.
It's just more. And there's one close to downtown that I went to before work, which was
A blood lab.
Hmm?
A blood lab.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that wasn't an especially big deal.
Yeah. And then you choose to sign up with Alberta Health Services so you can see your own results.
Yeah, which is really good.
Get your results later that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty fast, really, which is great.
Pretty fast. Yeah.
So that's good. So I can watch what's going on, and
Right. Yeah.
I think that's, it could potentially be bad if you're. The tricky part of it is that, it compares you to the average person's blood work. So if you only think about
the
that
range they put it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
The average population range, but average person is on Lynparza, so.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. No, I know. And I think that we all had a really crash course in what to look for.
Yeah.
Like if it gets below your neutrophils, then you shouldn't have your next vaccine. And if you're, it's this, and if it went low, then you'd have to maybe pause work, which you never had to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a pretty steep learning curve, I think, for all of us.
Yeah, because
what's
normal and what's normal for somebody on Lynparza.
Yeah, and what's safe. Yeah.
What's safe, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a big thing, and then watching the neutrophils a lot.
Right. Yeah, watching your blood counts and making sure nothing wonky was going on. Was going on. So, and you recently discovered that Lynparza, when we first heard about it, was made for just 2 years. That was its mandate and its funding.
Yeah.
And that was our understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And then we recently learned, in a kind of weird way, almost an afterthought, which we can write about later, but that it has been extended for some unknown amount of time.
Yeah, which is good.
And you feel good about that?
Yeah, I can handle it, and it's protecting me from cancer and cancer returning.
Right.
Yeah. Like stay on it as long as I can.
Yeah. For sure. Do you feel like you have a reasonable follow-up care plan at Tom Baker?
Yeah, I think so.
If not, or if so, what would you like to have differently?
Well, they called me, have you done your blood work yet? And that's good,
So somebody's watching. Yeah.
Yeah, so somebody's watching that.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't, even if hadn't been COVID, I don't know that I would have done the support group anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have liked to do the look good, feel better in person, but even, that sort of been a nice extra thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But if I wanted, I think I could do it again. And now they're sending out the samples, so the makeup and
Goo.
I know.
The
I
goo.
got lots.
It's all about the goo.
Yeah. For goo.
No, for sure, for sure. I mean, that's you and I've talked about this. Like, it's community, right? It's meeting
Yeah.
other people and stuff. That's important.
But it was good to do the online one too, and that was fun.
Yeah, when you needed it right away, for sure.
Yeah. And that was, how to deal. Because I mean, your scalp, my scalp was extremely itchy, and I didn't. Okay, how do you like your wig, but it's itchy, and so how do you deal with that? And getting the little cap to put underneath it, and
that's hard to figure out on your own. It really is. Yeah, it's all new. It's all new. So yeah,
that was nice to have that.
Yeah.
I think at first I kind of felt like, okay, they were kind of dropping me, but they weren't really. But I just kind of felt like that for a while. They were just kind of
like with the Lynparza, you mean?
Yeah, that was just. But I think, there are follow-ups, and they're there if I need start to feel off or whatever. So.
Yeah. So do you feel like if you don't feel well, you can call the Tom Baker and do you feel that is available to you?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I can and then call and leave a message and somebody will call back kind of.
Yeah. 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 And so in terms of sort of since October 2019 to now, how or has your understanding of ovarian cancer changed in these almost 3 years?
Well, I think it's from just something that is kind of alien to, okay, this is part of my life, and this is just something that part of my life journey kind of feeling.
Yeah.
At first it was sort of, what?
Yeah. The old WTF response, I think.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think, and at first, before that, I sort of thought, well, if I take care of myself and I stay healthy, cancer won't happen. And obviously it does.
Yeah.
Kind of breaking that. But I think, good health habits are helping me survive it and deal with it. And
amen. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
No, really.
I mean, yeah, absolutely, honey. I agree.
And I can remember after the draining, after I got that, what was it after? Was it after? No, it was after the surgery. I jabbed myself in the leg with this thing to get rid of blood clots. That wasn't fun.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that part. The stingers.
Yeah,
the stingers. I know. Suck.
And we don't want blood clots, but I'm being active. But you still had to do it anyway.
Yeah, it's just standard operating procedure after that kind of massive surgery. So yeah,
that was okay. But no, I think it's just. I think I got maybe a little less self-righteous. So I'm taking good care of myself. I won't get sick. And yeah, you can.
Yeah.
But
I mean, COVID knocks that out of us too, right?
Yeah. It wasn't just frail old people.
Yeah. Also, apparently, we're not 25 anymore. I don't know how that happened. I don't know. I think I am some days.
Yeah, part of me is. But.
Yeah, exactly. So in terms of, just to kind of circle back to the autism question,
Mhm.
how do you think that being autistic plays a part in your cancer journey?
Well, I think like things, some sort of things you see in the media more for breast cancer, but a lot of it is like I'd prefer to go on the walk with you and Donna in High River rather than in a, even without even taking COVID out of it. I'd still rather,
Oh, yeah, the fundraising walk. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, the
That'll be
fundraising
super
walk.
fun. We've already got the t-shirts, so
Yeah, I'd rather go with you and Donna and Henry
yeah,
than like
yeah.
300, even
Oh,
very nice strangers,
Henry's a dog, everybody, just for all y'all that are listening up there.
Oh, the dog.
Henry's a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you prefer the smaller family group than the big,
Quieter, or just,
yeah, watch out.
I'm sure they're all great people, but I just,
Yeah.
but so I think for things like like I'm not sure what I've done the support group anyway, and just a lot of the like in the waiting room with a lot of people around, all
Mhm.
all fine, but just I think I would, prefer quiet talking to one person or a couple of people. Yeah.
Mm.
And that's been for, that's been my whole life. I can remember
Yeah,
a
yeah.
grade school teacher saying, "Yeah, you're great at one-on-one, but you're not really good in groups." And yep, you got me.
That's right.
That's me. Yep.
So what are
Yeah,
you gonna do about it?
that's great. Sure.
That's right. That's right. Um, so now in this place in your journey where you are now,
Yeah.
how do you take care of yourself, not just physically, but sort of emotionally, spiritually, any other way?
Well, I think it's just, you know, getting back to, getting strong, physically strong again. But
Hmm.
and that's physical part, but it's also like that's me, this is the real me. It's not just the real me, but it's this is Lindsey, and something's happening, but like not letting the cancer run my life. Like
Yeah.
I'm I'm Lindsey with cancer, not just, oh, I have had cancer, so I can't do X. And yes, I can. And
Yeah.
just like living like I want and dealing with cancer as it goes. And I'm lucky to have Lynparza that I can do that. And
Yeah. Yeah.
that's but just sort of thinking of myself as a strong person who's dealing with this issue rather than,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Absolutely. That's just wonderful. Um, so what do you hope for yourself? What do you worry about?
Well, I mean, I hope just keep going as I'm going, as I am. And, of course, I worry about the cancer returning like everybody with cancer ever,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
That's
know,
funny. Yeah. Me too.
yeah,
Worry about that for you.
yeah. But I mean, but what I hope is just keep living my life as I want to, and, keeping my body strong and and just sort of have it as something I'm unfortunately need to deal with. I
Yeah.
remember reading an article a long time ago, somebody with a chronic disease and just saw it as an unpleasant part-time job. Like, gotta
Yeah,
do
that's a good way of putting it,
it.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's not fun. I gotta do it. It's just okay,
Yeah, and a crappy boss too.
That's right.
Kent is a shitty boss. Let's just say.
Mhm.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
sure,
that's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
it's not fun, but I'll do, I just do it and then live
Yeah.
the rest of my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so I guess that is the end of my 80,000 questions.
Okay.
except for what happened I asked you that was relevant to this discussion about Lindsey as somebody with cancer, Lindsey as somebody who is autistic, or Lindsey as somebody who is many, many, many other things.
Well, I think just that, I think all the things I've gone through in my life, and there've been a couple, but I think, they've all kind of built on each other, and I've gotten better at dealing with them as I've gone along.
Yeah.
And, it would have been nice to have mom there, but I'm glad she wasn't,
Yeah.
because I would have broken her heart.
It would have broken her heart. But we know she's here.
Oh, she's here.
Always. Yeah.
She's here. And, I think just that, it's just, I don't know.
If you were dreaming up something, cancer care for people on the spectrum, and budget was no option.
Yeah.
Other than the private rooms, which we spoke about, and a quieter waiting space, and built-in libraries.
Oh, yeah.
And snacks, and nice people to give us snacks.
Yeah.
What else do we need?
Well, I think what made a difference was the doctors who sort of had more patience, had more time to let me process things.
Yeah.
What stressed me out was the ones who seemed to be in a tearing hurry, like they couldn't wait to get finished and move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
So
and I mean, that's why I think we've done that workaround of me taking notes.
Oh yeah, that's a huge help.
With the technology, which is kind of wonky sometimes.
Yeah, but helpful.
Yeah,
no, that's a huge help.
Yeah, so that you can concentrate, but it's a lot. I mean, I think we all take about 10% of it in what the doctor says, and they say one word, and that goes on a loop on our head, and then we just take it and so
yeah,
it's good to have multiple witnesses for sure.
Oh yeah, no, that helps a lot.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big help, and just sort of the patience. So you're like, okay, the stuff cold, but it's my first time hearing it. So
yeah, for sure. Like, can you just start with where the hell my ovaries are, please?
Yeah.
And how I got to my lung fluid? Can we just start to roll that tape back? Yeah. Yeah, I know.
So I think that helped.
Yeah.
Having you there helps a lot. But also the doctors who seem to have time, who seem to like not being in a tearing hurry.
Yeah. That's not easy either, obviously. But are there any ways of conveying the information? Do you think that you would respond better if they handed you written information? Like you told us about the time where they didn't have time to teach you. I'm like,
yeah,
I mean, it's appalling. It's like, here's a pamphlet on the rest of your life. Go with God, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But do you think for you it would have been beneficial to have anything written or visual or a check back in or follow-up phone call or anything?
The written stuff helped a lot, because then I can go read it later at my leisure and think about it. Yeah, so written stuff's really good. Checklists, could get like the booklets I found really helpful, because I can only absorb so much in the 10 minutes or whatever. But
yeah.
So that that was helpful. I think, and just more about and the home care was really good.
Yeah. So how did you utilize home care?
Well, they came like after I had, when I went home from the hospital and but I still had the drain in my back, they came by and
That's right. They came to
And-
drain it for you.
yeah, cleaned that out and drain it. And that, so that was really good.
Right. But did they come after your surgery? After I left? I don't think they did they?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, you're very fortunate because your husband is able to be at home with you during this time
Yeah.
and help you. So yeah,
Well, and you there after the surgery too. I mean,
yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what's funny about COVID? I remember because I was staying in a hotel. I remember looking at the paper that morning of after surgery, and it wasn't the top headline. COVID wasn't. It was like the sub headline on the
yeah.
in the Calgary Herald, and I
Yeah.
remember like, coronavirus.
What's that?
Yeah, exactly. I just feel like making a big fuss about this, and then off we went. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I think it's a really interesting story because it did happen right on that cusp of COVID, which just made all that isolation worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm glad it happened, at that time in my life when I was married. It could have been,
Right. Yeah.
it was fine
Yeah.
living on my own, but it would have been a lot more stressful, a lot worse.
You're
And I
coming
think
up to your 6th anniversary next week, right?
Yeah, I know.
I know. So that's good. Yeah. So very good planning to have a job with benefits and a husband who can help take care of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. If one plans this shit.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Like living on my own, but it would have been really hard, especially.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know you would have
had to import you, I think.
But I did need help getting in and out of the shower, and
For sure.
like I remember saying, like, I'd like go up and down the stairs once a day. And
Right. And lifting things too. There were restrictions for lifting things. And all of your cats broke the weight barrier.
yeah, that's right.
So,
Lucy wouldn't have, but she was gone by then.
no, none of the cats are gonna work. So.
Yeah.
Oh right, you still have Lucy. Yeah, she was little enough to lift.
She was light, but yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Oh,
But yeah, no, I couldn't lift the cats, but
yeah. That's good. That's good. Well, we are down to our last 7 minutes. So is there
Okay.
anything else that you and you can also add on to things later?
Yeah.
By phone, and I can take notes. We can do another one of these, a short one or whatever. But are there things that I haven't asked you about autism, about cancer? I mean, I know there are, obviously.
Oh, yeah, but there, I mean, it would be 17 hours or something, but
Right, yeah.
yeah, but no, I think I think it's just like what's good for autistic people with cancer would be good for everybody.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's an extremely stressful thing for every human who has ever had it.
Right.
So
You're right. Yeah.
I think it's just of course doctors vary on how communicative, but I think the soft skills matter a lot in cancer care.
Absolutely.
You assume they're competent and know what they're talking about, but I think just the times it was good, which was most of the time, were times when they were focused on the patient, on me, which sounds, but the time it wasn't good was the one who was in a giant hurry, and that was really focused on himself getting through it as fast as he could.
Yeah.
So I think, and that was sort of a crash course for everyone. Like, okay, we can't go in, we have to do this by phone. How are we going to do it?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's the assembling the airplane while we're flying it business, right?
Yeah. So, it's not, it's just, but I think, going like in medical schools, some are just on marks, and of course they need to have that intelligence, but it's also, for stuff like cancer care, it's very important to know, to have the people skills, and and I've certainly read a lot of horror stories about people with autism in hospitals and just having a horrendous time, and not because anybody was being particularly horrible, but because it just is not set up for you and you can't,
Yeah.
you know. You know, it would have been like at night in the hospital, it would have been nice to have more quiet, but
Oh, you went to the ER recently.
well, not just the ER, but even sleeping.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I don't know how you do that, but
Yeah.
that can't be good for anybody, you know, at the time in your life when you really need sleep.
Even if they give you earphones or something, like I know that they have to keep busy, right? But
Right.
even if they give you a place to,
You know, just
there should be a way of doing this, right?
yeah, and that'd be good for everyone, really.
I would think so. I mean, everybody has a problem with that, but yeah. So it's more like the doctors would have to know that you need more time processing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, just so, you know, more training possibly,
Yeah.
and just,
Or maybe even like just a more comprehensive intake,
yeah,
right? I mean, like just asking, like, I have these patient navigators sometimes, you know, that kind of can help mediate the process. But
yeah,
yeah, it's like being thrown in the swimming pool, and that was my experience as an outside supportive person, not just.
oh
I
yeah,
imagine what it was like for you, hun. So
yeah, no, it was that, and then okay, good, you know, and it's just I don't know. I mean, I was lucky I had all the family around, including you, and you know, but
yeah,
I think it could have been a whole lot more stressful otherwise.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I was so grateful we were able to be there. So
Yeah,
yeah, awesome.
yeah,
You did awesome.
I think it's great.
I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
If you have other things that you want to say at another time,
Yeah,
jot them down and we
Yeah.
can do a little interview after work for 20 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
Or this may die and I may have to find it. And so we'll see if I manage to save everything first, but
Okay.
that's the plan.
Yeah.
But it's going to kick us off in 2 minutes.
Okay.
What are you going to do for the rest of the afternoon?
Go out and do our normal, go shopping and
Yeah.
same
Okay.
stay cool.
Yeah, stay cool.
I know.
Lots of air conditioning in the car too, so
Yeah, that's good.
yeah, for sure. All right, my love. Thank you so much. I will
Thank you, hon.
this in the next few days, I imagine, and I will get back to you.
Okay, well, great,
Yeah.
great. It was great.
Any afterthoughts,
doing it.
please let me know all of them. I want to know all of it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thank you for doing it, hon.
I love you.
Love you too, sweetie.
I'll talk soon.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.
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 Okay.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. Now it's recording now. Okay. So it says I've got a 40-minute window. So if it just suddenly like stops mid-sentence, if we get yapping and we forget it, then again, don't worry about it. We'll pick it up and
Right.
that's it. Okay.
You can see me.
Yeah.
Yay.
So first of all, I wanted to say, I mean, thank you for doing this, and
Well,
thank you for trusting me to
oh,
talk to me about this and
Oh,
put any of
great.
the we say into some kind of record. And I don't know the future of what this will become, but
Yeah.
I also believe in the power of just telling your story.
Oh, yeah.
Not just to me, but to anybody. And I think that it's allowed me to kind of have this kind of little cool thing back into my work. But at the
Yeah.
same time, what I love about it is it's giving you and me something to do in this kind of weird, waiting for recurrence, Lynparza deserty thing that we're in.
Yeah. No, it's really good.
Yeah. So
Well, I appreciate you doing it too, Paula. You know.
it's my pleasure. You haven't heard the questions yet.
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
There shouldn't be anything that's a surprise. And but in general, like, I mean, as much as your life history is awesome, what we want to mostly focus on is the ovarian cancer. But I'm
Yeah.
going to ask you about autism for starting out.
just primarily how you understand that and your diagnosis, that kind of thing. And then
Yeah.
we'll move primarily to the ovarian cancer. And what I've tried to do with those questions is take you through a more like a time frame kind of thing.
Right.
Break it down rather than saying ovarian cancer, what's up? Kind of, because they're like, oh,
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So anyways, okay, so first of all, how and when did you come to know yourself as being on the autism spectrum?
Well, I would say as a kid, but I didn't know what it was called then, you know.
Okay, yeah.
And I remember, like, as a young kid, even, I think on the farm, reading about an autistic kid and, you know, by himself rocking and very scared and very isolated and thinking, oh, how horrible, you know, that poor kid. But, you know, I think I knew, you know, even in like grade school that I processed things differently. And I think mom accommodated me and made me feel normal when I, you know, before I went to school. But then when I went to school, I was different. You know, I didn't like recess. I didn't like kids running around and yelling and,
Yeah.
you know, but I think being sort of what now I know as a typical female, I just learned to be quiet and good and, you know, basically fly under the radar and didn't cause problems for the teachers or, you know, that kind of thing. But, you know, I think, you know, I knew I was different very early. And I think mom knew even when I was a baby. But, you know, she took me to doctors and, oh, she's a perfectly nice little girl, which I was, but I also.
Niceness and autism are not like at all, right?
Exclusive, yeah. But, you
yeah.
know, because I wasn't acting different, I was acting normally in that. For, you know, 5 minutes they saw me, they thought, oh, she's normal, but.
Right.
And because mom was, oh, sorry.
Oh, no, just for all the viewers.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were born in 1966.
Yeah, and because
mom, okay, so that's the time frame we're looking at.
Yeah, mom was very young. Oh well, you know, don't worry, she's fine. You know, don't worry about it. You know, probably kindly, but not actually very helpful.
Yeah, for sure.
She wasn't getting any support.
No, absolutely not.
You know.
Yeah, for sure. And then how did that change? Like, I know that you had an official diagnosis, how many years ago now?
I was 49, so.
You were 49. And how did that diagnosis come about?
Well, I had, just before I was 40, I remember Uncle Doug. Well, there were a couple of things, people that weren't that close to me who sort of pointed it out, like Uncle Doug thought I was because I talked unnecessarily loudly. Which is interesting. And then, is it Patrick's wife's sister, I think? No, yeah, maybe. Anyway, but worked with autistic kids, and she thought maybe I was.
Oh, I didn't know that. Huh.
But she thought, you know, saw some similarities and.
Yeah.
In what she saw every day in me, and then I remember, like when I was just around 40, I thought, okay, well, let's look into this. And I remember calling somewhere and, you know, are there any support? Oh, and I looked into getting tested, but it was going to be $2,000. And, you know.
Like what you've said that before, but what was $2,000? I don't remember that.
It was being tested by a psychiatrist.
Oh, so it wasn't covered by like any kind of provincial anything?
Oh, no. You want it, you pay for it completely, yeah.
I wonder if that's changed.
Well, yeah, but not much. I mean, how I ended up getting diagnosed is sort of, oh, and then I called this place before and they said, oh, well, you're adjusting, you don't need anything. Yeah, I've adjusted right after over 40 years. Yeah. So no, there's nothing for you. You don't need it, you know?
Yeah.
So
you're coping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, only with, you know, family support and gigantic effort for 40 years, but yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for listening. Anyway.
Thanks for playing.
Thanks. Yeah. Anyway, so then later on, I kind of looked into it again, and how I ended up getting diagnosed and it being free is I went on the autism website, and then I found just a regular family doctor who was autistic himself, and he had a doctor. He's got access to all the resources in the world, and even he suspected he was, but even he had a very hard time getting diagnosed.
Really?
So, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, really.
So what he did is because he did it he's not a psychiatrist, he's just a regular doctor, then the province, it's under medical care and the province covers it.
Oh, okay.
So
And
that's
you
how
were
I did
what,
it.
49 then?
Yeah.
Okay.
But so, it's there, but it's not like, and his mission now is to, test as many autistic adults as he can. Because now, it's a great change in my lifetime that, kids are getting diagnosed even as babies now.
Right. Yeah. It's just all changed. Yeah.
Yeah. But there's still a lot of adults walking around just thinking they're abnormal and having lives with, who've never had the option, so he wants to make that more available to them.
Yeah.
So I was like, I found it, but only because I sort of was willing to keep looking. And
what did that diagnosis change anything about how you felt about yourself?
Well, it
either positively or negatively or neutrally or.
Yes and no. It wasn't any surprise. These were all things I knew about myself, but it was kind of reassuring to have a label to put on them rather than just other, Lindsey's weird, Lindsey's troublesome, the other things I thought about, Yeah, but if there's no one, if you think about, there are lots of places in the world where they speak English or some form of English, right?
I forgot to start the other recording. Please just.
Oh, okay.
No worries. The Zoom is going. And I'm just going to do this. Okay. Now we're just doing this as well as a backup. No, don't worry. I know the Zoom is gone. I just triple backed up. I'm sorry.
Okay. That's fine. Yeah. So it's sort of like, there's lots of places in the world where they speak English, where you could move and you could, without learning another language, you could basically understand what's going on. But, you could move somewhere else, but then the rest of the culture could be very different.
Yeah.
So, you speak the language, you could get along, but, or, not you, but anybody.
Yeah.
It's how, it would still take more effort to fit in with that culture that's different from what you're used to,
Yeah. And is that you saying that that's what it felt like?
Yeah.
Not to say like speaking the language, but not knowing the culture.
Yeah, kind of like that.
That's a really cool analogy, actually. I hadn't thought of that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
But,
You're an anthropologist at heart. I knew it.
Yeah, it's in there. Yeah.
It's in there.
It's in there. No, but I always like analogies.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So, it was just kind of confirmation. But what was interesting is Mom kind of, how can they tell with just one test from, that took an hour? She didn't really trust it, but, she'd asked for help decades earlier and not got it. So I think she was just kind of, we've dealt with it, which we had, but.
Yeah. And I think also just as an aside, I think Mom felt that it was somehow like she had failed you.
Oh, I know.
And I'm like, no, Lindsey succeeded and I succeeded because of her, right? So I think that was maybe part of her kind of struggling with the official diagnosis kind of.
Yeah, no, I do too. But
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and in some ways I feel sorry for, I mean, it's great, kids are diagnosed very early,
Yeah.
they get help in school. That's fabulous.
Mhm.
But I think what the next step is, so you graduate from high school, great, but then
Yeah.
what? And if you're used to, if you're used to having all that help, and then, there are a few programs, like there's one in Calgary, but,
For
you know,
adults.
yeah, for
Yeah,
adults,
for adults. Yeah, after school. Yeah, for sure.
there's one, a couple, there's one in Calgary and then a employment thing across Canada, but they have what, five jobs? For
Yeah, exactly. And they're
100,000
probably
people.
computer programming.
Yeah, most are.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I went through there's what's it called? Meticulon in Calgary.
Yeah, I always want to call it matriculous, but yeah, exactly.
Pretty similar, yeah.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
So I went through getting into it.
Mhm.
They basically said, even when I was on, because I was still on placement agency then, and they said, basically, don't call us, we'll call you, and don't quit your day job.
Thanks
you know,
for playing.
yeah, and now it would make even less sense because basically it's a placement agency. But one thing I like anyway is that if you get a job through them, you're paid whatever everybody else is.
Oh, you don't get some disability discount payment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like Andy points out, just because you're making less doesn't mean you pay less for anything.
Well, exactly. Exactly. For sure. For sure.
So,
Yeah. So, yeah, other than the employment, which you've talked about a little bit, what do you think has been the biggest challenge as an adult about being autistic? And by the way, do you prefer to be called Asperger's, or how? I guess I should ask you about language first.
no, that's fine.
Okay, which one?
I think just first adult with autism. Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. I should have asked that.
Yeah.
First. Sorry.
No, that's
I'm a
fine.
little rusty.
Yeah, no, I think it's fine. And I think we can get sort of, not you and I, but the
Yeah.
culture in general can get too hung up on those things. Like, just call me Lindsey, and I want to work, and I want,
Yeah.
and another thought I've had recently is, don't call it special needs. We all have human needs.
Yeah.
They're just different ways of meeting them.
Exactly. Oh my God, I got bumper stickers coming out of my ears here. We need to stop right now. I'm not going to ask anything else.
Okay, just go make up your bumper stickers.
That's all right. Let's go get the print cut t-shirts. So.
Yeah. No, really. I mean, because special needs sort of sounds like, oh, it's such a bother, and the rest of us don't need those things.
And aren't I lovely for filling them, for being for filling your special needs? Yeah.
Yeah, like it's not a, needing employment, needing decent housing aren't special needs.
Yeah, and love and yeah,
community and
yeah, security, all those other. Excuse me, I'm eating.
That's okay.
Super professional here, but I wanted to make a Sunday conversation, not.
That's right. Comfy.
There's my microphone speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah. And is there anything that you've discovered about yourself that is related specifically to autism that you really like about yourself, that is really cool, or is really new or neat, or that you're proud of?
Well, I think it's not new, but just, I think learning to, in some ways, you could look at it and say, well, why didn't I have all the supports kids have now? And that would have been so much easier. But on the other way, executive function, basically organizing yourself for things, I had to learn to do that to survive in school.
Okay. And
now I have those skills. And some, I think if you've had those things done for you, and then you're just let out, like, okay, graduated high school, good luck. And, if you don't have those, it was harder at the time, but now I can do those things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, it was sort of, I'm just assuming, and I remember, I'm kind of wandering all over the place, but.
No, this is awesome.
But, okay. So I remember,
The free version.
yeah, as a kid, like, okay, so, what special? I went into remedial gym because my balance was so horrible.
I'm not laughing at you, honey. You know it. I'm like, I just love the teachers. Like, hey, let's have remedial gym.
Yeah,
Great idea.
yeah.
Anyway, so what happened in remedial gym?
All I remember is walking along a balance beam.
And that wasn't good for you, huh?
No,
No.
my balance,
No one of
Yeah,
Lindsay's balance. Yeah.
no, my balance was so off. I wasn't a sporty kid anyway, but
Yeah.
I like the idea of skating, but I was, it was not fun. Or
Yeah.
I went about 3 feet on a bike and like, nope, I'm made it move. I'm done now.
Yeah.
My balance was so bad that I wasn't able to do sort of normal kid activities.
Yeah.
So
So you missed out. You missed out on that kind of stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then I went into a class for smart kids in grade 5.
Uh-huh.
So,
And how was that?
well, what I remember from it is it was cool because they had, different things. Like what I remember was they had somebody come in and say, like, between Chinese and Japanese food, that Japanese, the priorities make it look beautiful and elegant and,
Yeah.
artwork, it's artwork. And then with Chinese, its priority is flavor. And if it looks nice, that's a bonus. But
Yeah.
but I remember they said I didn't do well in teamwork.
You did or you didn't do well?
I didn't.
Well, you didn't do well in teamwork.
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you think that was?
I don't know. I remember being it was a big open room with tables and it's a lot of kids milling around, so I wasn't very comfortable,
Yeah.
which I think was supposed to be sort of innovative and good at the time, but I found it just overwhelming.
For sure.
Yeah. So it was just, so I think I was using all my energy to deal with that, not working very well in the team.
Yeah. I can see that. For sure.
But I think, sorry, what was the question? I'm gonna go.
What are the best things that you discovered about yourself as like what is really neat about or that you like about yourself that is related specifically to autism, do you think?
Well, I think learning to deal with autism,
Mhm.
just like dealing with it, I learned to have very strong, I think, old-fashioned work ethic.
Yeah, for sure.
And sort of maybe an independence that, if I want something, I'm going to decide to do it and I'm going to work hard on. If other people want to support it, great, but
Yeah.
but I don't need a group to say, yeah, that's an okay thing to do, or
Yeah.
So kind of self-responsibility, I think.
Yeah. Well, I can certainly see that in you for sure. So I'm just gonna open my door. It's a little bit warm in here still.
Okay.
All right. I'm back.
Okay.
Is there anything else that you want to say that's specifically about autism before we go talking about the other thing?
Well, I think it's just, in general, the world in some ways is getting better at, accepting difference. Like,
Yeah.
Even when I was at Mount Royal, there was a gay president to the students' union, and things she was fighting about then are just normal now.
Yeah. Those fights are maybe over, you mean?
Yeah.
Or in some areas of the world they are anyways, hopefully.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
But I think in some ways it's getting better, but in other ways the world's going more towards, like with work, there's all kinds of laws about what you're not allowed to do, but then they talk about, you have to fit in, you have to be, good fit and be part of the culture. And, I think it's going in some ways more towards having to have everybody the same.
Mm-hmm. That even in employment, people, they want like little automatons, you think more?
Yeah, or just,
Yeah.
it's sort of, and the cynical me says, well, it's just the old boys club and news clothes, they're not allowed to say. But, and it's not, I don't think it's meant in a bad, it's just natural. Like if I were hiring manager, I'd want to hire a young autistic woman, younger version of myself. It's not it's a human quality, but not because a lot of it, and some companies are doing better. Like they're getting people to actually do the work they would be doing. So you can see if they can see if you're good at the work, not if you're good at interviewing.
As the interview stage.
Yeah, just can you do this work? But it does frustrate me to hear companies say, "Oh, we can't find anybody," but they won't consider anybody over 50 or anybody with autism, or
Yeah. They don't want to put in the effort, so to speak, to.
Yeah. And there was one really good ad actually that I think it was at TV. Anyway, some kind of ad that showed a bunch of office workers acting very silly, and then somebody working studiously in an office, and a big pile of papers, working. So you can handle this, but you can't handle that, really.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
These people acting like grade schoolers on a sugar high, and then somebody working hard. And which one are you willing to tolerate?
Yeah, which employee is actually the better employee?
Yeah, well, true. Yeah.
Interesting. I don't mean to be the backup system, which is not great. It keeps saying it doesn't detect any sound, so I'm just moving it around and every once in a while. But it still says the Zoom is recording, so I'm just.
Well, that's good.
I keep looking down, and that's what I'm doing. I'm not checking my email.
Okay, that's fine.
No, it's just it'll say no sound detected. I'm like, yes, there is.
Okay. Yeah, come on. Listen. Yeah.
Listen up.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Awesome. So for you, with your diagnosis of ovarian cancer, when in your mind did you suspect you first might be sick or something might be kind of off? And you don't have to give me personal, like icky, physical detail. That's not what we're talking about here.
No, I know.
If you want to, you can.
No.
So just like when did you think that, or when did you maybe realize like this is something is not good here?
Well, I think it isn't icky, but the main thing was that I kept having to go back, and I was having trouble breathing. I kept having to go back and get inhaler after inhaler after inhaler, and it had help a bit in the moment, but it never got better.
Yeah.
And I think you were there, and walking, I'm in good condition, good physical condition, and walking across a parking lot, I had to stop, and just
when I was there, I remember that too.
Yeah.
That was very shocking.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that one time I was coughing a lot, and one time I coughed so much and couldn't stop, so I had to go to the hospital in the middle of the night. It was just, so I think that was just this symptom that kept going and going and going and never really getting better.
If I remember, everybody was treating it as if it were happening like in the throat or in the lungs, right?
Right. Yeah. And then when I was in the hospital, they x-rayed my lungs, and perfectly fine. It wasn't actually that. But and some digestive difficulties. And then they tried, okay, maybe you're allergic, going off lactose.
Oh God, I forgot about the lactose. I forgot about the cheese that you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's right. They got. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, that's
right. They thought you were lactose intolerant for a while.
So okay, that was something reasonable to try, but
yeah, sure, yeah.
Yeah, if we can solve it with that, then. And I did end up finding a fairly expensive but decent cheese that I could lower no
lactose. Like cheese, so.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
you know, that's always been a thing that, you know,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it was just sort of, you know, so we basically had these symptoms, tried to treat them, but that wasn't actually the problem.
They were treating like the manifestation of the symptom, and nobody was looking for the cause, right?
Right, not until, and then I remember we were going to go to, it was October, or anyway, the train auction. And
Right,
so
yeah, you're gonna
yeah,
go see it, yeah.
and then we were gonna just go before the train auction. And then I went to get the x-ray, or anyway, yeah, and then went in. And then, yeah, they went and got the resident doctor or something, and then I ended up not going to the train auction.
But how did you end up? If I remember, you were in the hospital when you were actually diagnosed for a couple of days, although didn't they keep you in the hospital for a few days and then
Oh
you
yeah,
got the diagnosis? So
yeah.
at the train auction, how did you go from the train auction to the hospital?
Well, we were going to go do the x-ray before, and then they said, called somebody in, and no, you can't. So I went, where did I go from there? I went to one hospital, but then they couldn't, because that's when they found all the fluid in my pleural cavity.
Right.
Couldn't deal with it there, so then they took me by ambulance to another hospital. Or where did they say? They told us to go somewhere, but it wasn't the right place, so we ended up going to the other hospital, and then they started draining. But
Right.
and they tested it, and at first they didn't find any cancer, but then they tested it again, and they did. So
Right.
but yeah, I remember that.
You remember that? Yeah.
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 And
That was a pretty emotional time for us because our mom had just died.
yeah.
Yeah. So it was it was a crazy time.
Yeah. And then didn't you say we just sold the house, and then like
That's my memory of it. When I was writing about this too, my memory of it is that I actually had to check in from mom's house in my hand, and I stopped at the pharmacy,
yeah.
and it was actually just doing a little window shopping.
Yeah.
and then Andy called me and told
Yeah.
me, and then and it was such a shock. I mean, I knew you were sick, but I didn't honestly think. I thought, well, she has some infection. They'll give her some IV antibiotics.
Yeah.
She'll be on in a few days.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I think that's kind of what we all thought.
Reasonable. Yeah,
that was reasonable. I guess you hear the term like cancer journey.
Yeah.
Does that term describe what your life has been like for the almost past year, or are there more accurate terms, better terms, like a battle? Do you like living with? Do you like surviving? Like, what do you think about when you think of the last almost 3 years now? What's the kind of what's the word that you would use, or the phrase that you would use, or are there more than one?
Yeah, well, I think journey and surviving. I mean,
yeah,
survivor from way back.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, I mean, it's just been, yeah. I remember the doctor coming. We were bored. Which is actually a good thing in a hospital.
Yeah, that's right. You're feeling okay enough to be bored. You're probably doing okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We just went to, it's a nice hospital, so we were going in sitting somewhere, and then the doctor came and found us, which wasn't good.
Right, when they tack you down, that's never a good sign.
No, doctors usually are flying it,
Yeah, you usually are chasing after them. Yeah. For sure.
So that's not good news.
And what did he say to you?
What did he say? Well, we were sitting somewhere, and then he took us in a lab room or something, private room, which was nice.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then it was closed for the day, but he got us in, and so wouldn't have to be, out in public, basically, which was thoughtful. And
It was very thoughtful.
yeah, and just sort of, we tested your fluid again, and it was cancer in it.
I take it you were surprised.
Yeah, no, I did. Well, because before I thought they said, oh, well, we tested and there's no cancer. So I thought, okay, good. That's,
Yeah.
then, yeah, I was kind of shocked. I mean, obviously I knew not well, but
Yeah. Yeah. And so do you remember do you remember any of your first kind of thoughts, or what did you first think about it?
well, it was sort of like an adrenaline rush and just kind of like, oh no, I got to get away from this, and
Get away from the cancer.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was sort of the first reaction, and not nervous, but just that kind of hyper,
Sure.
and
Like that fight or flight response, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
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 just, and I couldn't, this can't be right, I can't believe it, but yeah, and just kind of agitated,
Mhm.
and sort of, okay, well, let's call people, and but no, I'm very glad he took us into that room, because it's uncomfortable enough without feeling like you're on.
On public display.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, but then it's sort of, okay, well, that explains all this weird stuff that's been happening. And
Yeah.
I mean, I knew I wasn't well. I remember when I was on that going off lactose, and then for a while I went to this, is it naturopath? Anyway, he was kind of out there, but
Gee, it's been a long journey. I forgot about all these other stuff.
oh yeah,
That's right.
yeah,
Eat kale, all will be well.
yeah. No, he was. I only went through part. He was really out there actually, but to be fair, I only went through part of the thing because he got no coverage from the government, so his sessions took. I could have run through my whole $1,000 budget in a few months. So.
For sure, yeah.
Anyway, but he did this one thing, and your energy level is just above that of a dead person. Like,
He's not done.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, your energy level's really low.
Oh,
thanks. Yeah.
What an idiot.
Yeah, like
just get right on that caring profession, would you?
yeah. So I stopped. I stopped going soon after that, of course. But
yeah, you're not feeling super supported.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, that's just an aside, but
well, that's important, like, because all of this is it's all part of the journey, right? It's all about how that got there. So
yeah, I knew I wasn't very well, but that was kind of like, what?
Yeah, for sure. I think it was. I mean, I know it was for me, and I'm sure it was for everyone else. So that's why it had to be for you.
Yeah.
We're getting the warning sign here.
Okay.
In 2 minutes and 16 seconds. I would like you to use my credit card to upgrade to Pro, but I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
I'm giving you a heads up in a minute that okay. Oh yeah, just so briefly about that last one. So in those like super early days, what were your expectations?
Oh, that's good.
We need to wait for the next session.
Yeah, no,
I don't want to cut you off about that. But.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I think I was feeling kind of, I don't know. I mean, I didn't know what, I didn't know where to, I assumed people would help me, but I didn't know sort of what came next or what to do.
Yeah.
And I was just really, really agitated, so I wasn't thinking all that clearly,
Sure. Yeah, I'm sure that happens to, like, I don't know,
Everybody.
I can't imagine who that wouldn't happen to in some manner. Like,
Yeah.
I can't imagine like, oh yeah, cool. You know, that's cool. No worries. Not educated at all. So, okay, sweetie, I'm gonna shut this down because it
Okay.
just because I don't
Yeah.
want to
So
make sense.
cut us off soon.
Yeah, I don't want. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna close this
Uh-huh.
and then go pee.
Uh-huh.
Come back, and in a minute I'm gonna right away I'm gonna invite you to the next one.
Okay. I'll take a break too. And
Okay, we'll
okay. See you in a minute. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, and
Okay. Got it.
it's the bossy British lady again.
Recording in process.
Recording in process. Please mind the gap. Do not step on the.
Yeah.
Reminds me of the woman who's like on the the train. Please mind the gap.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So we were talking about Lynparza when we left off.
Yeah.
So I don't think we had the opportunity to call, like, just when we last we had this interview. You thought it was going to be ended, and then we had that kooky, it's on again, it's off again, and then it's been extended for another year.
Yeah.
And you've got an anniversary of the 3-year mark coming up pretty soon.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about how all that has been for you? The stopping, the starting, or the not stopping of the drug, but the weird sort of on again, off again, being on almost like a trial medication or something that's new, something that's really new.
Well, I was kind of upset when I thought it was ending because I seemed to be doing well on it, and
right.
Just as a left-leaning person, I was like, well, is it just because? Oh, and then the one doctor, oh, you could pay for it if you like. Like,
yeah, it's $100,000 a year.
Do you have an extra 100,000 a year? Probably
I do
not.
not. Yeah. I do not, and probably that doctor doesn't either.
No, yeah. I don't know anybody who could.
I don't know anybody either. Yeah.
So that was bit, but I was kind of, I was lucky to have had it for 2 years, but I was sort of upset when I thought they were just going to stop it. And especially if it was just for financial reasons.
Yeah.
That nobody wanted to pay for it. And, but then it turned out that, so I was happy to be able to continue on it as long as and that the government's paying for it as they should.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's probably 1% of the world's population not even could afford that.
Not even.
Half, maybe.
Yeah.
It's ridiculously expensive.
Exactly.
And, I seem to be doing fine on it, and my blood work's turning out fine. So grateful to be able to stay on it for another year. And hope because I guess 5 years is sort of the traditional, if it's going to come back. I've got 2 more years, so hopefully I can stay on it for that too.
Yeah. So so how do you feel about this? Like, so also at this appointment coming up, which I'm so glad I get to be with you in person. Yay.
Yeah, yay.
Some families go to Disneyland. We go to the cancer center. But yes. Good times. But we're also going to Sephora. So,
that's right. So
that's right. Damn it. And we'll have some birthday cake too. So there you go.
We're gonna have some pandemic.
We'll have some pandemic cake or whatever. We're having birthday cake and pandemic cake. So you've got your CT scan coming up, you've got the Lynparza anniversary, you've got this appointment, in-person appointment. How do you process this? How do you feel about it? Do you not think about it too much, little? What do you think?
Well, I think I've been kind of looking at, like, if I have some bloating, is that because I take a lot of fiber, or is it because there's something wrong? I'm a bit worried.
Yeah.
And I feel fine, but the cancer in the first place didn't show up as anything related to,
Yeah, it showed up as abdominal stuff. Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's such an insidious little cancer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
So, but a bit worried, but again, I'd rather know if there's something we need to do.
Yeah.
knowledge is better than not knowledge. I think we've
Yeah.
talked about that a lot. Yeah.
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 Sort of worried, but on the other hand, just want to know what to do next, and
Mm-hmm.
a bit concerned that if I'm starting a new job, I'm going to have to take time off right away. But that's how it is. I can't.
How it is. Yeah.
I can't do these appointments on Saturdays because they're not. They're that's,
Yeah.
excuse me. That's just when it's going to happen. So
Yeah. Yeah.
but no, I hope I get to stay on Lynparza
Mm-hmm.
as long as I can tolerate it, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it's helping.
Yeah.
Like why
Yeah.
go off, stop doing something that's working?
Right. No, I do understand that. I mean, I do think I think part of the problem with being on a new drug is that they don't know how long it will work for or when you receive the benefit of it.
Mhm.
Right. So when it yeah, and I mean, I think I don't think it's that the doctors are keeping information from you. I think they just don't know at this point because you're kind of on the cutting edge of this.
Yeah,
Right.
Which-
So yeah.
which
all
is
new.
good, but it also means that you don't know.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
4
It would
years
be-
or whatever.
Exactly. It'd be so nice if someone said, okay, this is the treatment you're going to get. You're going to stay on it for this long. You will or will not have this benefit. And then
Yeah.
we're going to do this or not do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a lot easier for any patient to manage.
Yeah, but on the other hand, most cancer patients throughout history have had nothing like this. So I'm
That's right. That's
very
right.
grateful too.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you feel worried or anxious
Mhm.
about this, what do you do? What works for you?
I think,
Or what doesn't work for you?
I think staying on my schedule. I mean, that could
Your
seem
routine. Yeah.
rigid to the outside world, but I don't care.
Well,
Yeah.
isn't that fun being in your 50s? It's like, I don't give a fuck what you think.
Yeah,
Exactly.
really doesn't matter.
Really doesn't matter to me anymore. So
Yeah, you
Yeah.
think what you think, and I think what I think, and whatever. No,
there
but
you
I think
go.
just
Yeah.
and it's also how I think of I think what works for me is thinking of myself as somebody with cancer, not cancer not cancer for
Yeah. It's that person first language with autism.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, exactly. Which I actually, that's an interesting question because so like you have used, like you and I've talked about this before, like you like the words I am an adult with autism, right?
Yeah.
But I think I told you this before. So I had that, right? I had that as a person with cancer, and I totally get why you're saying.
Mhm.
But when I put that in the guide and
Mhm.
talked with Autism Canada, we're like, no, you can't put that language in. I'm like, yeah, but that's what my sister wants to call herself. She wants to call herself a unicorn with autism. I'm gonna freaking honor her freaking pronouns and her language and her
Yeah.
everything right now.
I'm 56. Don't tell me how I can
Don't
talk
tell
about
me
myself.
how I can find myself. Like I get it. I do understand how other people want to say I'm autistic or I'm a person on the spectrum.
Great.
I
Please
get
do.
it.
Happy,
And I
happy
get
to
it.
tell you that. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Like but do you think
I'm an adult.
what's that?
I'm an adult. I've earned.
I've earned the right to define myself the way the words I want to define.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's right. No, I
Not
think it's
fair.
important. I think it's important because defining yourself as a cancer patient versus as somebody with cancer
Yeah.
is different. How is that different for you than defining yourself as autistic versus a person with autism? Or are those parallel identities or
I think they're parallel. I mean,
no, I mean I'm not saying they're the same
no, I know,
as
but
illness, but in terms of using language is what I'm trying to get at.
yeah, no, I think it's the same idea that I don't think of Donna as a diabetic first. Think of her as a
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
as a vibrant person with diabetes who happens to have to deal with diabetes.
Yeah. That's true.
And I think it's sort of a anybody, like if you break a leg, you're going to need that might be how you define yourself until it gets until you get do your physio and get strong and able to function normally again,
Yeah.
but for a long-term condition, I think it's important to say, that for me anyway, not everybody else can call themselves whatever they like.
You can call yourself unicorns.
Yep. Whatever works
Yes,
for
you can.
Whatever floats your boat. But
That's right.
But for me anyway, it's more about, I'm living my life and I'm dealing with these things. But that's
Right. Yeah.
part of.
Yeah.
But I think when I say, and obviously when I was in the hospital, that was the main thing going on in my life. But but even then, like, there was somebody with fairly, serious cancer who was there a long time, and just found the hospital kind of boring and sterile, and so had to fight everybody practically, but to decorate her room nicely and bring in some nice clothes to wear, and like just because I'm going to be here for a long time, I still want to look at my nice things and be comfortable.
I'm still a whole person. Yeah.
Yeah, and wear my nice clothes and get but oh no, we have to have it sterile and cold, and
Yeah, and a patient
that's
gown.
depressing long term.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, exactly.
So just the idea of, I take my medications, I take care of myself, but I take care of myself to fuel my whole life, it's not just and going back in history, I think people with medical conditions were treated as invalids for long term, and that kind of got into a negative cycle. That if you're some, like nursing homes, now we think of them as only for older people, but originally they were for, people who were unwell at any age. And then, but if you're living, if you're 23 and you're living the life of an 83-year-old, you're not going to be as well,
No, you're not.
You're going to have less activity, less interaction, less. You see what I mean? Like,
I do what you mean. Yeah.
So
sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
If you think of yourself as just somebody dealing with these issues, then it's you deal with them to support the rest of your life.
Yeah. But do you feel that, I mean, the only difference is, I totally see what you're saying, is that, but as we know, autism is like cancer is something that is acquired, that can come in your life and then may or may not go, right?
Yeah.
You may always have to be on the look of it. Whereas autism, we know that it's a brain wiring, right?
Yeah.
It's just who you were born as.
Yeah.
And that's who you are. So it's not something so that's what I mean. It's a bit different.
Yeah, no, it is different. But it's like sort of the maybe old-fashioned, but it's not so old-fashioned because people with autism still have extremely high rates of unemployment. So sort of the thinking, oh, well, that would be too stressful for you. You should just, but then, being unemployed causes far more stress than a appropriate job.
Yeah, than a supported job or a supported, otherwise supported,
And then, financial, and then autistic people end up in more abusive relationships because they don't have money to support themselves, which isn't.
That's right. Yeah.
So again, another. Oh, but that work would be too stressful, but not having work is more stressful.
Not having to be able to financially support yourself.
Is.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. So just so briefly more about Tom Baker, do you have a good sense of, or do you feel confident in your follow-up care plan? Do you feel like you've got a good plan, or do you wish it was different?
Well, I think it's good. I think it's, ideally I'd like it to be more like, there's one thing I read that, somebody, especially men, have heart attacks. They get this whole oh, well, here's your diet, nutritionist, and here's,
Hmm.
an
Your
exercise
rehab
plan,
plan, yeah, here's your everything, yeah.
and there's sort of some of that, and a lot of that was cut out because of COVID, of course, but
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I wish there was sort of a more structured, like I get, through the different groups, there are some things like that, cancer groups, and I think some of that'll come just having a bigger cancer center and everything in one place rather than, well, here's a brochure, you can call these people, but
yeah.
like one I emailed and never heard back, and
Yeah, they're probably run by a volunteer and that person's got COVID and homeschooling their kids, right?
right, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Zero
So
free
good
time.
luck. In their
Yeah.
free time, they're also running this volunteer group. Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, that leads us beautifully into my next question,
Okay.
which is, this is the Dream On section. We've talked a lot about that. This is how this whole business with the advocacy guidance stuff started.
Mhm.
So Tom Baker has built this giant new cancer center.
Mhm.
I hear they don't have doctors to staff it, which is
No,
not
small-
the smartest plan. Well,
small detail.
Small detail. You forgot
Yeah.
about that part.
Beautiful new building though, yeah.
Beautiful new building, yay. So that if you were to support your needs,
Mhm.
and then so maybe start with that, and then perhaps other autistic people,
Yeah.
how would you design that cancer center
Well, I'd have,
if you were a consultant?
yeah, if I ran the zoo.
If I ran the zoo, which we clearly don't, so
But maybe we do.
maybe we can. We run our own personal zoos, and that's about
That's
it.
right. Cat zoos.
Cat zoos.
Yes. Anyway, so yeah. So what would I do? I'd have comfortable waiting spaces,
Mm-hmm.
being given that that's a lot of your experience there.
Mm-hmm.
Consultation rooms that are big enough to comfortably house, comfortably seat and whoever's there without people being
Smushed against the wall.
crammed in. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think also just if there's offering you other things, being able to go directly, like
Like the
well,
psychosocial supports and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
like they did, I guess, originally run the Look Good, Feel Better out of Tom Baker, but so that would have been there if during normal times, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but just having things close by and even right there.
In one physical location. you
Yeah.
mean? Yeah.
Maybe I think would it be nice to have like comfortable places to stay for out of town people, because we're lucky being just less than half an hour away from
Right.
but,
Yeah.
but rather than having to stay somewhere expensive for when cancer's already expensive.
Yeah, you lose your job, you lose all this, or you have a stay from your job, or exactly, extra charges.
The best case is that you'll be on reduced income.
That's the best case. Yeah,
If any
exactly.
income at all,
Exactly. Yeah.
And then more expenses if you're having to drive in every time. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
that would be nice. But just having things in one, I think everything in one place, like
Mm-hmm.
instead of, oh well, here's a brochure, and if you want to call this person and set up an appointment, just having maybe people come by and talk to having them come to you rather than
You have to chase them down. Yeah.
Chase them down, make an appointment, wait 3 weeks,
Yeah.
which realize they're not just there to support you, but
I'm eating licorice.
that's okay.
Speaking of our healthy lifestyle, I've had a healthy
That's right.
breakfast. Now I'm eating red licorice because
I get it.
So,
Yeah, I get it.
anyway, sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, so about the Look Good, Feel Better, I know that we talked about this last time, that if you were designing that for like autistic people, like that specific piece of it,
Mhm.
what would you have needed as somebody with some sensory issues? not as many or some different ones than other folks with autism. What would you want if you were designing that?
Well, I think when I did the online one, and that was
Yeah.
good in a way because I had my own space. But
Mm-hmm.
I think just, fairly not too many people, like, maybe 5 or 6 people, and then one presenter or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So not too crowded and noisy.
Yeah.
A chance to just watch. Okay, let's see how put somebody's makeup on or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I think just relative quiet, enough space around so we don't feel that you wouldn't want during COVID anyway, or anytime really.
Right. Yeah. But if we're imagining the non-COVID cancer building
Yeah.
here, so yeah.
No, I think just a comfortable room and enough space to feel like you weren't really closed in.
Yeah. So those are really important to you, to have physical space and to have a quiet space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like not
Not monk-like silence, but
yeah, a lot of noise, not a lot of noise either.
Yeah. Not doing it at the the food court of a shopping mall.
Right. Yeah.
Equivalent of that. Yeah, for sure. So I asked you this question before, but I wonder if you have a different answers, if you do. So what do members of your oncology team not know about you that you wish you did? Wish they did, I'm sorry. And let's include your pharmacists, your blood draw people, your nurses, everyone you've interacted with, the whole team. Like if you could say, there's things you don't know about me, but I wish you did, and you need to know these things to treat me better.
Well, I think that I take time to process, take longer to process, and like to me, it seems sometimes people are moving very fast. They probably don't think they are, but so I think just giving me enough time to process what they're saying.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it can, especially if my stress levels are up, it can seem like, bloop, 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 okay.
Yeah, and you're like, okay.
All right, whatever you said.
Whatever you said, I think somebody recorded that for me, I hope. Yeah.
So just slowing down and just,
yeah.
I realize they're busy. I realize that they have to stay on a tight schedule and so on, but and that's more just how things are scheduled, but keeping it, just giving me a few extra seconds to digest it and respond.
Yeah. In order for that to happen, they need to know that you need that though, right?
Right. Yeah. So maybe some way of telling them her.
Yeah. How do you think that could work for you?
Well, I think, asking, if it seemed like, okay, then asking, could you repeat that, please? And, but also and also I think awareness on their parts, that because they've said this 4,000 times and learned it, have it, right first thing in their memory, that, this might be my first time for hearing it. And
right, particularly if it's big news of some kind. Yeah, or presentation of a treatment plan or options or. Yeah.
And I think that some some doctors were great with that, had, fabulous communication skills, and some are just, here's the information. Any questions? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's, so I think that goes back to sort of how doctors are trained, and even what you and Bill did, that could be a good idea, that having autistic people do those, sort of mock situations.
What? Oh, you mean the questions and answers kind of stuff that we do?
Yeah. Well, when you were mock patients.
Oh, the standardized patients. Oh, yeah. Oh, so we need autistic standardized patients.
I think so.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I don't know if they do actually. I'm not sure if they do right now. I'm out of touch with that. But yeah, that would be cool, right? They might actually. Yeah, they might. But they also, so they need to change the training for the healthcare team.
Yeah.
but then, I think maybe the healthcare team needs to ask the right questions.
Yeah.
Because let's just say, like, if you go in there, let's sort of cast your mind back to those fun first days with Tom Baker. If you go in there, like, you're not going to go in with this big letter A, hi, I'm Lindsey, I'm autistic and I've got cancer. Oh no.
Yeah.
Like, if you think about it, it's hard. Not many people walk around disclosing
Yeah.
unless they have there's, right? I mean,
Mhm.
I think that's part of it. So if we train the nurses and doctors to sort of pick up on clues, but then somebody might be insulted,
Yeah.
right? If you say, oh, you're being a little weird. Are you autistic?
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm not. Damn it. That's
I'm
so
just
rude.
weird,
Now,
damn it. Yeah,
I'm just
deal with it.
weird. I'm just weird and a little bit stupid. So, not autistic at all. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think that somehow like there's need to be some kind of questionnaire or the intake form or something in which the patient feels comfortable in saying these things,
Yeah.
disclosing. Yeah.
Rather than, are you disabled or not?
Right. The check yes or no. Oh my God, that is my life's work to get rid of the check yes or no disability box.
Yeah.
That was on
Really?
your BRCA testing. Oh, good, sweet love to God.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're working on that. We're working on it.
Yeah. No, that's
So,
a ridiculous question.
no, it's a ridiculous question.
You know,
Yeah.
athlete with a broken leg is disabled at that moment.
I know. Like, what do they mean? What do they mean?
Yeah. Anyway.
So that kind of leads to the next question. So
Mhm.
how do you think you could have more effective conversations with your doctors other than the more time
Yeah.
issue, which is clearly really important?
Yeah.
Like, what do you need other than the other than our self-advocacy guide, a word from the sponsors,
Yeah.
filled out with complete form, which is now a sizable workbook.
Yeah.
So what do you need other than that to be put in the hands of everybody?
Mhm.
But what do you need in the interim
Well,
to
I think
have
it's,
better conversations? Yeah.
I think it's, a lot of it is, I know how to be assertive, but I think it's being assertive when you're super stressed, super,
Mm.
you know,
And sick. Some
and
people like
sick,
are super freaking sick when they get there. Yeah.
so, I think it's just human.
Yeah.
It's easier to be, do all your best skills and be your best self when you're feeling great, and
Absolutely. Yeah.
but it's also just saying, okay, be more assertive. But how do you do that when you're scared, you're sick,
Hmm.
so just and feeling vulnerable. I think that's a lot of it.
Of course. Yeah. And
know.
everybody feels vulnerable when they're
Yeah.
sick, and then you feel more vulnerable if you've got, yeah.
But so just kind of more of a mindset, like, the doctors are there to help you, but they're, you're in charge still. They're not in
Mhm.
charge. They're like one doctor said, we're all on your team, but you're the boss,
Yeah. Yeah.
But I
And
mean,
lots
it's,
of people don't accept various, things will be offered to them and they'll say no, or they'll
yeah,
want more or want less or different. And yeah.
but just because you're you're down at that point, you're still,
Yeah.
so it's and it sounds sort of whatever, but I think that mindset is really important,
Hmm.
because if you feel like you're vulnerable, oh, I just have to take whatever anybody's going to give to me, and I shouldn't ask
Yeah.
for anything else because grandma's doctors are busy. Well, yeah, they're busy.
Yeah, exactly.
They're,
And that's how we were raised. Like, that's the thing
Yeah.
about being, I think, people of our generation as well. And I think about being someone with autism of your generation,
Yeah.
that maybe when that kid who's 5,
Mhm.
who's, raised to expect supports
Yeah.
and ask for supports,
Yeah.
if that person, God forbid, gets cancer
Mhm.
in their 50s,
Mhm.
they might feel a little bit different.
Yeah. Like, well, of
I
course
don't know.
there's gonna be supports for me, and
Of course there are. Here I am. I'm autistic. Gimme, gimme, gimme. I'm ready for it. I expect
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
yeah, I expect
Hmm.
what everybody else, equal to what everybody else is getting, which of course
Yeah.
they should have.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah.
But our generation is more like, oh, well, shouldn't ask for anything, and
Hmm.
gratefully accept whatever there is, and
Yeah.
but it's not, and I think it should just be there for everybody. Like, you're probably one of the scariest times in your life, and you're just there waiting, like you be waiting in a bakery or for a bus or,
Yeah.
I mean, they do. And, part of that was being COVID, because they did try to do nice comforting things before.
Yeah, the tea and cookies ladies and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds, but it did make a difference.
It did. I mean, I was there with you. It made a huge
Yeah.
difference. Yeah, it's that human connection. Yeah.
Yeah. And just, you feel like a guest, you're still waiting in a hospital, but you felt more like a guest somewhere,
Yeah, absolutely.
rather than just,
Absolutely.
okay, there you are, you get to wait for 3 hours.
Yeah. And then here's your information. See ya.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Or even here's not your information because we ran out of time.
exactly. Here's not your information. Here's a website for you, maybe.
Yeah.
So look it up online. Look it up online. So I think so. Is there anything else about dreaming up for the new Tom Baker building? If you and I were consultants, what would you ask for?
Well, I think just ideally more staff, more time with staff.
Mm.
So, planning for the realism of how long an appointment's going to take. So if an appointment is actually going to take an hour, plan an hour, not a plan 45 minutes, and then by 2 o'clock you're 3 hours behind.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which sounds whiny, but
It's not whiny at all. No.
but if you're waiting for somebody else, being 3 hours late wouldn't be acceptable.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah,
If
exactly.
you're waiting for your accountant, you expect your accountant to be a few minutes late, okay, but not 3 hours late.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
Yeah, we're used to kind of begging for scraps, I think. So yeah.
plan enough time and hire enough, train enough doctors and have enough, that's long term, but
Yeah.
don't, and political too, that Alberta politics, but but have enough doctors and have enough nurses, and don't run them ragged either, which they did.
Yeah,
during the pandemic.
yeah, exactly. They're not showing up as their best selves either, if in that case. Yeah, for sure. If there was, we've talked a little bit about, like we know a little bit about patient navigators. If there was an autism specific patient navigator for cancer patients
Wonderful
program, yeah. So what would that be helpful for you if there was somebody, if you said, and if you walked into that cancer center, we could rewind that time. Not that I want to go through that again, but hell no.
Hell no, I did it. I survived.
Hard pass.
We survived.
Exactly. Hard pass on that. However, in our imagination, we can think our way back.
Yeah.
And said, so if someone said, so if I said to that nurse when we first walked in, as I did, Lindsey might need a little help. She's on the spectrum. I didn't even know what I was asking.
Yeah, just
I was like, I would tell somebody, please do something. Help me. Help me help her.
Yeah.
And I mean, in my fantasy world, someone would have handed me the workbook, which we are now going to develop, filled with resources. And somebody would have said, here's your patient navigator.
Yeah.
Here's her number or his number. And they're going to help you navigate the entire cancer experience as a person with autism.
Wow.
Wow.
Bring it on.
Bring it on.
Yeah, no, really. I want that to be there for somebody else.
I want that to be there for somebody else too. So what would that patient navigator need to know, do you think?
Well, I think that, even during the best of times, it takes me a lot, and I've accepted it, I've gotten used to it, but it takes me a lot to deal with a lot of noise coming at me. Like even if I'm feeling great and in the mall, I have to put my walls up and just, it takes a lot of energy to block out the noise so I can just do my things and talk to people. And, it feels like being blasted,
Yeah. So if you're using your energy spoons or whatever to do that, don't have the time, you don't have the focus to concentrate on what's happening.
Right. So that, having a quiet space would be, more equalizing for me, so I could, handle it with somewhat less stress.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What would that navigator as a person need to do for you? Like we've talked about the physical space. So
Yeah.
what would that person need to do for you?
Well, I think be able to even, I was lucky enough to have family around, but, just be able to, okay, what else was stressful? What wasn't stressful there, but, other, like I found the constantly changing appointments at the beginning very stressful.
Oh, when they kept changing your times and everything?
Like,
well, that even
yeah.
happened recently, and frankly, that was stressful for you, hon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I changed flights, and that was a bit bonkers, so.
Yeah, and then just, so that would be another sort of general thing, is for them to wait until they know when appointments are going to happen before, like sending it out months in advance, and then, oops, well, last few weeks, no, we need to do it at a different time now. So.
Yeah, we don't have any oncologists, sorry, at the cancer center.
Yeah.
We're running it as a vet.
Yeah, that's right.
Day. Sorry, kittens allowed, but no actual cancer patients.
Yeah.
So,
but just more explaining, I think, how things work and what, because I realized, I had a good experience, but a lot of that was, I had my surgery, weeks before the hospital closed down.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have had any family in there, but then the cancer, the navigator probably wouldn't have been allowed in either. So, but
no, I mean, they would have been as blindsided by COVID as every healthcare professional was as well.
Yeah.
But at least they would have known the ins and outs of the hospital better than, a family member would have. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I think just being able to, and just being able to talk, someone to talk to, or, okay, why have we been waiting for 3 hours for this appointment? And
yeah. And maybe just understand the language of when I say I have sensory needs, like when you say I've got my walls up because I can't, like that, that's like, oh, I understand what you mean by that language.
Right.
Or maybe if somebody's really has a lot of tactile sensory needs or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that isn't just being fussy or demanding, whatever. It's just
I'm not being a princess.
No, really though.
No, for sure.
I really, okay, if I'm gonna have to wait another 2 hours, could I please go in a quiet room by, or just with 1 or 2 other people rather than
And I think so this is going to kick us out in 2 minutes, just give you a heads up, and then we'll do one more if you have time, just it won't be that much longer.
That's fine.
So I think the other thing too is somebody, I guess in my imagine, is somebody who can say, so if the patient says once to this patient navigator, I'm autistic, this is the way I communicate, these are my particulars, this is the way in which I'm autistic. Because we know, you meet one, right? So, so that person says to the navigator, okay, this is the way in which I don't make eye contact when like other people don't, right? Or I need headphones, or for me, the most important thing is quiet or space, or however autism looks to that person.
Right. Yeah.
Then that person communicate with the navigator once, and then that navigator can communicate to all the other healthcare team people, so that the patient isn't going every single time, by the way, I've got sensory needs, by the way, I've got sensory, by the way, blah, blah, blah. Every freaking time they have to say, this is why I'm wearing
talking to each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, that's good. And then
like a hub is sort of what I think of. So
yeah, and the navigator can tell the next doctor or nurse or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, I think this is just general, I don't think this is autism related really, but just, it feels like endless waiting, and then the doctor comes in,
I know,
flies through.
Yeah.
So, if we have 43 seconds, you know, let's see how we can make the most of that and not
Yeah,
just
yeah.
fly by without.
Or
Yeah,
before the
off
doctor
the
enters the
chance.
rooms, they know they can't go, like they
Yeah,
know that
that's right. No,
this
put up here.
patient needs, you know, no burping, blurring here. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you know, just